I'm going to read The Prince and the Pauper. I'll think about how to read well and properly for listeners. And so, I'm reading Chapter 18, The Prince with the Tramps. While I'm reading the novel, this chapter, maybe I need to read phrase by phrase or sentence by sentence using intonations, nor enjoy reading following the story. Here you go. The trio vagabond turned out at early dawn and set forward on their march. There was a roaring sky overhead, slope ground underfoot, and a winter chill in the air. All gaiety was gone from the company. Some were sullen and silent, some were irritable and petulant, none were gentle-humored, all were thirsty. On the rougher stuffed dragon, Hugo's charge with some brief instruction, and I commanded John Cannon to keep away from him and let him alone. He also warned Hugo not to be too rough with the lad. After a while, the weather grew mild and the clouds lifted somewhat. The troops ceased to shiver, and the spirits began to improve. They grew more and more cheerful and finally began to chaff each other then inserts passengers along the highway. They showed that they were awakening to our appreciation of life, and the joys once merged that dwelling which their sorrow was held was apparent in the fact that everybody gave them the road and took their reward. Insurgents meekly stood out venturing to talk back. They snatched the irons from the hedges, occasionally into full video of the owners, who made no protest, but only seemed grateful that they did not take the hedges too. By and by, they invaded a small farmhouse and made themselves at home to while the trembling farmers and his people swept the ladders clean to furnish the blackbirds for them. They chuckled, the housewife and her daughters, the under-strings, whilst receiving the food from their hands, and made a call just about them accompanied with insulting epithets and burst of horse laughter. They threw bones and bad troubles at the farmers and his sons and kept them dodging all the time, and applauded uproariously when a good hit was made. They ended by buttering the head of one of the daughters, and who resented some of their familiarity. When they took their leave, they threatened to come back and burn the houses of the heads of the families if any report of their doing got to the ears of the authorities. About noon, after a long and weary tramp, the gang came to a halt behind a hedge. On the outskirts of the country villages, an hour was allowed for rest, and the crew scattered themselves about to enter the villages at different points of the fly. The very straitjacket was sent with Hugo. They wandered either for some time, Hugo watching for opportunity to do a stroke of business, but finding none, so he finally said, "As you know, to steal is a foolish place, wherefore we'll beg. We hold thus already traded pitch dear, but all not back." "You are not back," exclaimed Hugo Stein, the king, with surprise. "First things, when hast thou fallen reformed? What does that mean? Mean hasn't those not begged the streets of London all the life?" "The idiot, spare the compliment. This talk will last the longest, the father says, and that has and begged all the days and maybe helped the lightest. Peradventure, you will even make a bold to say lightest, dropped Hugo. You call my father, yes, he lied. Complain at these making monuments and then so far makes the beauties for the amusement, not the hurt. And I tell him this, that he will scorch the fine me for it. Save yourselves the trouble, I will tell him. I like the spirit, I do in trust, but I do not mind the judgments upon rankings and bastings to be plenty, in this life, without going out of one's way to invite them. But a truth to these matters that I believe your father, and I hope not he can lie. I do not be those to lie on upon occasion, for the best of us do that. But there is no occasion here is that wise man does not waste a good commodity, as lying for naught. But come, see that he is these humors to give over abating the wherewith souls and shall we busy ourselves with the robbing kitchens? The king said impatiently. Have done with this folly you weary me, he replied with temper. Now is the hearty meal you will not beg, you will not rob of it. But I'll tell you what you will do, and you will play the coys whilst I beg. Refuse and think you may venture. The king was about to reply contemptuously when she said interrupting, Peace, here comes one with a kindly face. Now do that I fall down your feet, and when the stranger runs to me, the statue of a whale, and is for up on your knees and seem to weep and then cry out to all the depths of misery that were in your belly and say, Oh, sir, it is mine the fool afflicted brothers, and that we be plundering the God's names that cast through your master's eyes on pitiful look upon the sick and forsaken and most miserable residents and souls of a little penny out of the seas upon one smitten of God and let it perish. And mind you, keep your own dwelling, and await not here with big hymns of penny. As shall you root? Then immediately Hugo began to moan and groan and rolled his eyes and breathed and totter about. When the stranger was close at hand, underneath his full weeping, with a shirt, and began to reduce and wallow in the earth in seeming agony. But yeah, cried the benevolent strangers, the full soul, how it does suffer. There is let me have the a noble thirst for theirs, and I love you, and for a precious gentleman to give me course the pain to touch me, the one I am taken sore. My brother there will tell your worship how I am like with his anguish when these fits be open. A penny, dear sirs, the penny is done to buy a little food, and then the me to my sorrows, a penny, though sword, have three, and then though have least and creatures, and he fumbled in his pocket with the nervous face and got them out. And there's the full lads, take them, and most welcome. Now come, Peter's my voice, and Miss Kelly, the stricken brother to use housewares. I'm not his brother, said Kingston, interrupting. What? Not his brother? Oh, hear him, and groaned the shoe, then pried to his ground, and his teeth, and he denies his own brother, and then he with the one put in the grave. Oh boy, thou art indeed the heart of the heart. If this is the brother's to shame, then he is capable to smooth his hand on foot. If he is not the brother's to who is he, and then a beggar and a thief, he has got your money and has picked your pocket likewise. Though wasn't to a healing miracles delay, they stepped up to his shoulders and trusted Providence for the rest. But he would not hurry for the miracle. In a moment he was up and off like the wind, the gentleman's following, and after raising the hue, and then cried, thusly that he went, the king's breathing and deep gratitude to heaven, for his own release to flight in the opposite direction, did not slacken his fate. As he was out of the hound's reach, he took the first load that offered, soon put the village behind him. He hurried along as briskly as he could, during several hours, keeping a number's watch over his shoulder for pressure. But his fears left him at last. A great sense of security took their place. He recognized now that he was hungry and also retired, so he halted at a farmhouse But when he was about to speak, he was cut short and driven slowly away. His clothes were against him. He wandered once, wounded and indignant, and was resolved to put himself in a way like treatment no more, but hunger in prized master. So he, as the evening drew near, he made an attempt at another farmhouse, but here he feared wasn't first. He was cold hard names and was promised the rest as a reverent acceptance. They moved promptly. The night came on, Julie and overcast, understood the future, and the monarchs lumbering and slowly on. He was overreached to keep moving, for every time he sat down and to rest he was soon penetrated to the bone with the cold. All these sensations and experience as he moved through the solemn rooms and empty bathrooms of night were new and strange to him. In other words, that he heard a voice approaching, passed by, and then faded into silence. He saw nothing more of the bodies that they belonged to them. A sorrow of formless, dripping blood. There was something spectral and uncanny about it all that made him shudder. Occasionally he called. The twinkle of a light always too far away. Apparently almost in other words, if he heard the tinkle of a sheep's bell, it was vague and distinct, and the muffled lowing of the herds approached him on the night wind in banishing the cadence. A mournful sound now and then came the complaining howl of a dog over viewless expanses of field or forest. All sounds were removed, and they made a little king feel that all life and activities was far removed from him, and that his solitary companionless center of the majority solitude. He stumbled on through the gruesome fascination of his new experience, startled occasionally by the soft rustling of the dry leaves overhead, so like human whispers that they seemed to sound, and by he came suddenly upon the fractured light of the tin lantern near at hand. He stepped back into the shadows and waited. The lantern stood by the opened door of the barn. The king waited some time. There was no sound and nobody stirring. It got so cold, standing there in half-closed barn looked so enticing. Then at last he resolved to risk everything and entered. He started swiftly, steadily, just as he was crossing the threshold. He heard a voice behind him. He darted behind his cask within the barns and stood down, and Tom's pumps and lovers came in, bringing the lanterns to with stems, and fell to work, and then talking minimized. While they moved about with the light, the king made a good use of his eyes, and the bearing of what seemed to be a good-sized stone. At the further end, placed some proposing to groped his way to it, and when he should be left to him, and he was noted the position was fire of horse and blankets and waist of wood, with intent to levy upon him the further service of the crown of England for one night. By and by, the men finished his own ways, and fastening the doors behind them, and taking the lantern toward them. The shivering king made for the blanket with as good speed as darkness stood allowed, gathered them up, and there groped his way safely to the store. Two of the blanket he made a bed, and then covered himself with the remaining two. He was a grand mark now, though the blankets were old and thin, and then not quite warm enough. And besides, they gave out to impudent horses odors that was almost suffocatingly powerful. Although the king was hungry and chilly, he was also so tired and so drowsy, and there was the influence so began to get the advantage of Farmer, and he presently dozed off into a state of semi-conscious, and decided on the point of losing himself. So wholly distinctly expressed something touching was brought, awakening a woman and gasping for breath, and the cold horror of that mysterious touch in the dark almost made his heart and stand still. He lay motionless and listened, scarcely breathing, and when nothing stirred and there was no sound, he continued to listen and wait during what seemed a long time. But still nothing stirred, and there was no sound, so he began to drop into the orgy once more at last, and all of us, they felt the mysterious touch again. It was a grisly thing, and when I touched upon this noiseless and invisible presence, it made the boy sick with its ghostly fear. should we do? That was the question, but he did not know how to answer it. He would leave these reasonably comfortable quarters to fly from this incurable horror that flies withers, and then he could not get out of the minds and ideas of the scrolling through blinders, the heroes and theaters in the dark, and raise the captivity of the forest walls, and with just the phantom and gliding after him, visiting him with its soft hideous and touchy upon cheek and shoulder at every turn. Oh, intolerable, but to stay here as he was and endure this raving, that's all right was the better. Yes, but then, what they were left to do, and there was but one course he knew it was, he must put out his hand and find the things. It was easy to think this, but it was hard to raise himself upright. 3 times he stretched his hand a little ways out in the dark, and gingerly snatched suddenly back with a gasp, not because it had encountered anything, but because he had felt so sure it was just going to. For the first time he groped a little further, and his hand lightly swept against something soft and warm. This petrified him. Nearly with fright his mind it was in such a state that the core could imagine that things to be nothing else than a corpse. Newly dead, still warm, and he thought he would rather die than touch it again, but he thought this was so because he did not know the moral strength of human capacity in a long time. His hand was trembling, the groping against his judgment, and without his consent, but groping persistently just the same, encounters a bunch of long hairs. He shuddered, but followed up the hair, found that what seemed to be a wand, and Lord followed up the rope and found an innocent cup. The rope was not a rope at all, but a cup's taste. The king was courteously ashamed of himself then for having gotten all the fright and misery out of the fortress a matter of slumbering cup, but he didn't have to fuss so about it, for it was not a cup, and that frightened him, that dread of which not extant, something which is the cups stood for any other boys in those old superstitious times would have acted so good just as he had done. The king was not only delighted to kind that the creatures was only a cup, but delighted to have the cup and companies, for he had been feeling so lonesome and wonders that the companies and conversation, or even just humblest animals were welcome, and he had been so privileged. Literally entreated by his own kind, it was a real comfort to him to feel that he was at last in the society of a fellow creature that had a richly soft heart and gentle spirit, whatever loftiest attribute might be lacking, so resolved to weave wavelength and make friends with the calf. While stroking a sleek one that for it lay near him, and would it easy to reach it across him that this calf and might be utilized is more in more ways than one. Whereupon he rearranged this bed and spreading it down close to the cup, then covered himself up to the cup's back and drew the covers up over himself and his friend, and in a minute two was as warm and comfortable as he had even ever been in the downing coaches of the legal palaces of Westminster. Present thoughts came at once. Love took on our cheerful words, seeming was free of the bonds of the subdued and crying, free of the companionship of base and brutal roars. He was warm, he was a sheltered world. He was happy. The night wind was rising. It swept by the beautiful and ghost and made the old barn creak and rattle. Then its force died down at intervals, and when morning and raised around the corner of projections, but it was all music to the king. Now it was snug and comfortable. Let it blow crazy, let it batter and bang, let it moan and wail. He minded it, not that he only enjoyed it. Emilia snuggled and close to his friend, and a luxury of warmth and contentment, and drifted peacefully out of consciousness into deep, mysterious sleep, and was full of serenities and peace. And the distant dogs howled, and the melancholy kind complained The winds went on raging, whilst the furious sheet of rain drove along the roof, but the Majesty of England slept on them undisturbed, and the cup did the same, it being a simple creature, not easily troubled by storms or embarrassed by sleeping with a king. Alright then. So, let's chapter 18, The Prince with the Tramps.